Like, why would you just use it on potential criminals or enemies of the state or what have you? Well, you could use it on the entire population and make trillions of dollars in advertiser revenue. Well, what about when you talk about something and then you get an ad for that something that you've never seen an ad for before?
The CIA relies heavily on the NSA's ability to gather vast quantities of email, phone calls, and other data.
The CIA's drone program relies heavily on data the NSA provides. That includes phone calls, emails, and other forms of signals intelligence.
With email service providers and social media, we've long been told that if it's free, you're the product. But with the Internet of Things, it seems even if you pay, you're still the product.
It really goes back to the data. So we have a direct connection with our consumers that provides us with deterministic first-party data. So we utilize that for targeting.
How did we get here? The personal computer, originally designed to raise the intellect of humanity, has been transformed into smart devices designed to raise the intellect of artificial intelligence instead.
In order to correct the AI, Google felt that they needed to re-rank all of the data.
This has massive implications for society. Companies are modifying their behavior to ingratiate themselves with those in power. They're changing their slogans and advertisements. They're censoring content. They're firing controversial people. Speak up, you might lose your job because you're bad for the company's ESG score.
Now it's all about politics and hysteria. What we thought could make us more connected made us more divided. Instead of people using technology for their benefits, technology now uses people for it.
You have the right to stay private and protect your personal data. Your personal data is being sold online by data brokers right now. If you don't have the time to go through each and every website that may or may not have any information on you, then try Delete Me. Delete Me will take care of removing your data from public databases and people's search sites. To do what we did to remove our data and get your personal information removed from the internet, go to joindeleteme.com/anonymous. We value privacy as we know how our personal data can be used against us. That's why we recommend Delete Me. Delete Me is giving 20% off to anyone who uses the code ANONYMOUS. Again, that's joindeleteme.com/anonymous. It's like having your own personal privacy assistant who takes care of all the hard work for you and protects your data.
This data is pretty valuable, not just to device makers, but to hackers.
Music, movie streaming services, online shopping services routinely look at your pattern of behavior, compares that to previous customers, and tries to make predictions for you.
Google runs the largest of all the ad exchanges, also known as surveillance advertising.
Big social media platforms don't sell ads to you. They sell you to advertisers.
This technology is designed to collect as much information about you as possible, then analyze it with artificial intelligence to create predictive models of your behavior and preferences.
This is you, a series of purchases, preferences, and quantifiable data points that we define as your personality. We monitor every social network, internet logs, instant and text messages, known associates, your friends, emails received and sent, cell phone usage. We use this data to form personality profiles. We know who you are. We are everywhere.
The thing is, you're not just following your bad guy targets, you're also following their metadata. And by the time you go a third hop out from the original target, you're looking at a list of 2.5 million people.
This is a commercialized version of the very same technology that in previous versions used cell phone, email, and social media data to target terrorists with a Predator drone.
The CIA's drone program relies heavily on data the NSA provides. That includes phone calls, emails, and other forms of signals intelligence.
But now, instead of delivering you a smart bomb,
Avon calling.
It delivers you a smart ad through smart devices, and that's just the beginning.
And nearly every TV sold these days is a smart TV. And if you're not using a smart TV, you might plug in one of these, an Amazon Fire Stick, Roku, or Google Chromecast. But all these devices are grabbing a lot of information about you, what shows you watch, when you're watching, and how long, even your voice. According to their terms of service, those smart devices use that information for a range of reasons, including analytics, marketing, and targeted advertising. They can share that data with countless third-party firms.
Your privacy and behavioral data is monetized and sold to governments, corporations, and advertising agencies.
This is a very dangerous weapon to put at the hands of the powers that be.
We've really been building back-end big data analytic capabilities now for a couple of years.
We get the data through 30,000 sources.
It's not just the typical data you find in a database, but other data that you can get about your customers.
Major financial institutions and companies give us accounts receivable information.
We know a lot about our customers. We can see their lifetime value. We know who our most valuable customer is.
We also get signal data and other kinds of data like B2B e-commerce data and shipping data and social media data.
Facebook has invested $2 billion in a data center.
$1.3 billion data center complex for Apple.
Google is now saying it's going to spend $13 billion money for data centers.
And that's where a lot of these data lakes come in.
Data is a huge asset for us.
From your own data sources and from outside third-party data sources, you can bring that together and get business value out of that.
And we combine this unstructured data that I just talked about with that accounts receivable data, and suddenly we've got a rich profile.
So you want to do data crunching?
Right.
Basically, Amazon is the world's biggest supercomputer available right now.
Right.
And that you're able to use that data. You turn on the data sources you need. Within a couple of hours, you have the analysis you need.
Amazon's private brands team in India secretly exploited internal data to copy products sold by other companies, knocking off the products of sellers in its marketplace.
Using that big data against our best customers, it's a huge asset.
And rigging search results. An exploitation of its vast trove of data to promote its own merchandise at the expense of other sellers.
Amazon is now 50% of all e-commerce.
Amazon has been forcing third-party sellers to enter into contracts that penalize them if they try to sell their products on other sites for cheaper prices. And that includes a company's own website.
For every euro of sales, Hubacher has to hand over 30 cents to Amazon. Amazon is one of the most valuable companies in the world, along with Apple, Google, and Facebook. They're worth together around $7 trillion. The success of software can depend on its presence in the App Store, for which Apple charges 15 to 30% of revenue.
And essentially tells us if you don't like the deal, you can just get out of here. You can just shut down your business. How is that a choice? It just felt like mafia tactics.
The tech companies decide under what conditions others can enter their system. In the process, they collect oceans of data.
They invade our private lives through surveillance. They extract from our lives, rendering what they extract as behavioral data, and then they claim those behavioral data as their private property.
The way you live your life, the way you do your work, the way research and development are all moving forward. It all relies on this enormous amount of data and this enormous amount of computing power.
Guess who else has access to your privacy and behavioral data?
While you are watching your phone is watching you. This is just a fact of life. The operating system is designed specifically to watch you, listen to you, find out where you are in order to help you. It needs to know who your friends are. It needs to know what you're saying in your text messages. It needs to listen to you sometimes. And so you're looking at your phone and you have all of these facilities, but it is the world's greatest spy device, designed as a spy device. Now, there's nothing wrong with that as long as the person spying on you is spying on you for benign reasons, meaning maybe they just want to sell you something. I can choose to say no. But hackers use those same facilities. They are built into the operating system. So if a hacker gets access to those facilities, they may choose to empty my bank account without my permission or knowledge, or to steal my identity, or to start charging things on my credit cards, or if I have a Bitcoin wallet or an Ethereum wallet, they can empty my wallet. This is the facts. This is not science fiction. This is not me being paranoid. The antivirus paradigm is no longer functional. It doesn't work. I said this 10 years ago, and I'm the person who invented it. So people should listen. I mean, if I invented it and I built the first antivirus company, viruses are not the problem. By the time hackers have planted malware in your system, it's way too late. The hackers spend weeks, months, or sometimes years sniffing around in your system, taking what they want before they even plant malware. But you can find the presence of a hacker in your system so easily. Every hacker has to go through certain steps in order to break into any system and do damage. The first thing they have to do is get through the firewall, and all firewalls have holes. It's impossible to build a firewall that can keep out all hackers. It just can't be done. They have to get through the firewall, and then they have to find out where they are, and so what's on this net. So they sniff every device on the network. You have people, I mean, I've even heard people at Google say that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Well, I've never heard anything crazier. It's insane to say, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. We are humans. We are living in an imperfect world. Over half of all smartphones, both iOS and Android, are infected with keystroke logging software. This is a known fact. Every site in the world, if you have ever, I'm sure nobody here has ever looked at it, but if you have, then you have keystroke logging software. How do you think they make their money? See, this is the issue. It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this, and yet you don't pay. Yes, you're paying. The instant you visit the site, if you have an Android, for example, the site runs a JavaScript which sets the download unauthorized application flag. The very first video that you watch, you now, because that's a click-through, you clicked, you did something. You said, yes, oh, good, that's yes, I'll do that. Downloads, first and foremost, a remote rooting function. If it's an iPhone, a remote jailbreaking program. All can be remotely rooted now. After it's rooted, they download a keylogger, and all this takes just a matter of seconds. And from that point on, somebody is watching every single one of your keystrokes. Now, people pay these sites for the ability to put their keylogging software on your phones. Why? Well, maybe they're a Bitcoin aficionado, and they're going to see, do you have a Bitcoin wallet like Mycelium or what have you? Yes. Well, they're just going to hang around until you access it and input your keys or your passwords, and the next day, your wallet's going to be empty. Or maybe you do online banking, all right? You have a password, you have an application. The very first time you've logged into your bank to check your balance or do anything, they go, thank you very much. And the next day, your bank balance will disappear. Now, why has this not happened to you already? Because hackers are not stupid. In order to take something, they have to download additional software. If they only take 400 or 500 people's bank accounts in one day, then the next day, the white hat hackers are going to say, this is how they did it. Everybody, you can protect yourself. No, they're going to wait until one day this year or next year, and 100 million people in one day are going to have your bank accounts eradicated. Zero balance. Or your identity will be stolen, or your Bitcoin wallet will be emptied. Or maybe they've been watching your keystrokes to see if, maybe you're saying something to a friend or a lover that maybe could compromise you. Maybe they can blackmail you. If they get lucky, you might be a United States congressman or a senator, in which case, now not only do they have money, they have power. And the Russian cyber mafia and the Chinese cyber mafia are so powerful, they pay literally hundreds of millions of dollars to these sites to allow them to access your smartphone so that at some point they can utilize that. Now, you said, how secure are they? Well, they're not. They're not. Neither the alt currency wallets nor anything else in the cloud. Because what is the cloud? We haven't thought this through, people. The cloud is a place where I'm going to store data. I don't know what computer it's on or even what country it's in. I don't know who is managing it and monitoring it and controlling it. I don't know what type of security facilities you have. I know nothing. And I'm willing to put my valuable data there? No. Why would we do that? Now, if it's something I don't care about, that if you steal it, I don't care. It's a list of books I read. I'll just recreate it from the web. But if it's something that matters, It's like saying, we've all agreed now we have secrets, yes? Why don't you let me keep your secrets? Why should you be burdened with having to keep your secrets? I mean, you've got too many stories to tell. Why don't you give it to me and let me manage it for you? Isn't that crazy? And that's what we're doing with our, quote, secret data. That is data we don't want to have stolen from us or taken or accessed.